You're fired, and we're keeping the blueprint. The CEO didn't raise his voice when he said it. He didn't need to. The room was already silent, the kind of silence that only exists when someone with power decides the outcome before anyone else gets to speak. I looked at him and realized something was wrong. Not with the decision, but with the confidence behind it. I'm sorry, I said, slowly. You're keeping what. He smiled, sharp and satisfied. The blueprint. You built it here, on our time. It belongs to the company. HR shifted in their seats. No one interrupted. No one ever did when he used that tone. I'm Orly. Until that moment, I was the senior systems architect for one of Pasadena's most discreet aerospace contractors, the kind that shared parking lots, not logos, with NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. My job was to design systems people trusted without understanding, and never asked too many questions about. I folded my hands. You're terminating me effective today, effective now, he said. Security will escort you out once we're done. Then you should be careful what you ask for, I said. He leaned forward. Don't threaten me. Hand over the laptop. I slid it across the table without another word. That was easier than I expected, he said, already opening it. I thought you'd fight. The screen lit up, not with files, not with folders, just a warning. White text, black background. Property of NASA Face ID required. The smile slipped from his face. Someone inhaled sharply. He stared at the screen for a second too long, then laughed. That's a joke. It isn't, I said. He snapped the laptop halfway shut, then opened it again, like the message might disappear if he challenged it hard enough. We'll have IT wipe it. This is company property. No, I said. It isn't. He stood. You don't work here anymore. Orly? Security appeared at the door. I unclipped my badge and set it down next to the laptop. The warning was still glowing. He was still ignoring it. I walked out knowing one thing for certain. He had just decided to keep something that was never his to touch. The story you're about to hear is a fictional work created by the writing team at Her Revenge. While the events and characters are imagined, the story is inspired by real workplace power imbalances and moments when expertise is dismissed until consequences make it undeniable. This narrative is meant to entertain, provoke reflection, and remind viewers that knowledge carries weight long after authority tries to erase it. Why didn't I defend myself when it mattered most? The security guard didn't touch me. He didn't have to. He just stood to my right and said, "This way, ma'am." Like we were late for a meeting instead of ending a decade of work. As we walked, my phone buzzed. I didn't look at it. At the elevators? He hesitated. Badge. I unclipped it and held it out. Keep it, I said. It'll stop working soon anyway. He took it with an apologetic nod. I'm sorry, I know, I said. And I meant it. In the lobby. The CEO's assistant caught up to us, breathless. Orally, she said quietly, like my name was already a rumor. He says you forgot to sign the separation form. I didn't forget, I said. He didn't ask. She swallowed. He wants the paperwork clean. So do I said. It will be outside. My phone buzzed again. This time I looked, unknown number. I declined the call. I didn't drive home. I drove past the turn I'd taken every morning for years and kept going. I parked 2 towns over, sat in the car, and let the clock move forward without me inside the building. Time matters when stories start changing themselves. My phone rang again. Orly? The CEO said when I answered. He didn't greet me. It says the laptop is locked. It should be, I said. You need to come back and unlock it. I don't work there anymore. A pause. Short, tense. You designed it, he said. You know how to bypass it. I designed it so no one could, I said, including me. This is getting unprofessional, he snapped. I smiled, even though he couldn't see it. No, this is what professional looks like when I stop fixing other people's mistakes. Silence stretched. He was deciding which version of me to talk to next. Orly, he said finally. Softer now. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I'm not, I said. I'm making it accurate. I ended the call and turned the phone face down. I ordered coffee and sat where no one knew my name. I didn't open my laptop. I didn't send a single message. I let the distance grow clean and undeniable. By the time I stood up to leave, the silence had done its job. How many times can someone ignore a warning before it stops being ignorance? I waited until my coffee went cold before I opened the secure portal, not the company system. Not anything they could accuse me of touching. This one didn't care where I worked. It cared who I was registered as. The status page loaded slowly, then settled. Blueprint node active. That's not possible, I said aloud, to no one. I clicked into the log. Authentication attempt failed. Authentication attempt failed. Authentication attempt failed. I pictured the CEO standing behind an IT technician, arms crossed, impatience leaking through every breath. Try again, I imagined him saying. You're overthinking it. My phone buzzed. This time it was a name I recognized. Victor. Infrastructure lead. We'd worked together for 6 years. Orally, he said the second I answered. His voice was tight. He says you locked him out on purpose. I didn't lock anyone out, I said. The system did exactly what it was designed to do. He wants us to bypass it. You can't, I told him that. And there was a pause. I heard muffled voices on his end. He told us to figure it out, Victor said quietly. He said it's just another workstation. I scrolled. My stomach dropped. New event external interface enabled. They're plugging it into the internal network, I said. Victor cursed under his breath. He said if it's connected, we can trace the access points. That device is not supposed to see your network, I said. It's not supposed to see any network. He doesn't want to hear that. I know. Another line appeared. Security boundary crossed. The text turned red. Victor, I said, slower now. You need to unplug it. He won't let us. Then step away from it. Silence. Then, orally, he's right here. The CEO's voice cut in, sharp and irritated. Are you telling my employees what to do now? I'm telling you to stop, I said. You don't work here. No, I said. But you're about to involve people who don't care whether you do. He scoffed. It's a laptop. The log updated again. Unauthorized system handshake initiated. I closed my eyes. This isn't about me anymore, I said. It hasn't been since you ignored the warning. He hung up. I stared at the screen, watching the system record every move. The silence between clicks felt heavier now, charged. I reached for my notebook and wrote down the time. If you could stop someone from destroying themselves, would you? My phone was already in my hand. His name sat at the top of the screen, bright and insistent, like it still had the right to be there. I imagined the call before it happened. Orally, he would say, measured now, let's reset. This got out of hand. I could hear my own voice answering, careful, useful. The version of me that had spent years preventing small disasters from becoming public ones. I lowered the phone. I didn't owe him a warning. He'd already been given one. He chose to ignore it. Instead, I opened a different contact. Not a colleague, not legal. A name I hadn't used casually in years. Mara Levin, Federal Liaison. The person you notify when custody changes. When access is compromised. When something crosses from corporate to protected. I typed slowly. Effective this morning, I wrote, my employment with Meridian Aerospace has been terminated. No adjectives, no commentary. Device classified as Blueprint node is currently active on site under executive direction. I paused, then added, multiple failed authentication attempts logged. Internal network connection observed. My phone rang. I didn't answer. I finished the message first. I am no longer on premises and cannot intervene. I read it twice. Clean, accurate, boring in the way officials prefer. Send. The reply came faster than I expected. Understood. Mara wrote. Stand by. That was it. No reassurance, no panic. Just procedures snapping into place. My phone rang again, the CEO this time. I watched it vibrate until it stopped. A moment later, a text followed. Orally, this is spiraling. Call me. I didn't. Another message appeared. Whatever this is, you can still fix it. I set the phone face down. I opened my notebook and wrote the time. I wrote the sequence. I wrote exactly what I had seen and nothing I felt. By the time the screen went dark, the choice was no longer mine to reverse. The silence had crossed the line and become a record. What's the difference between using something and claiming it? I didn't have to imagine what he was doing. The log told me. A new session opened on the Blueprint system. Not diagnostic, not read-only, a right action. I leaned closer to the screen. File created. Source, external upload. My phone rang. Victor again. He's calling it a prototype, Victor said, low and fast. He says it proves his vision. Whose name is on the file, I asked. A pause. Did he ask where the system came from? He said origin stories, slow momentum. Another entry appeared. Watermark layer modified. I closed my eyes. He's covering the notice, Victor swallowed. He told us it was temporary, just for optics. For whom, I said. Investors, Victor said. Meetings tomorrow. He wants to show progress. A voice cut in on his end. Muffled, but unmistakable. The CEO. Tell her to stop hovering. She's not part of this anymore. Victor didn't repeat it. He didn't need to. The log updated again. Presentation opened. Display interface enabled. He wasn't just storing files. He was performing. He's using it to pitch, Victor said. He says it's proof the company doesn't need you. I know, I said. You're not going to say anything. I clicked once. A screenshot captured the screen exactly as he wanted it seen, his slides layered over a system he did not own. His name typed where warnings used to be. I am saying something, I said. Just not to him. I saved the image. Timestamp. Notes. Victor exhaled. Orally, this is bad. Yes, I said. For him. Another message came through. Not a call this time. The CEO. We're moving forward. Don't interfere. I didn't reply. I watched him open the next slide. Watched him gesture in front of a system that recorded every touch without caring who thought they were in charge. I added one more screenshot to the file and closed the portal. When someone decides to claim what isn't theirs, the cleanest response is to let them sign their name to it. What does a system do when its guardian is gone? My phone started ringing before the alerts finished loading. It's happening everywhere, Victor said, breathless. No one can log in. Payroll, engineering. The badge readers, nothing. I'm not there to approve the morning handshake, I said. The system assumes hostile takeover. That's not what he's telling people, Victor said. He's saying you planted a logic bomb. I pictured the CEO pacing. Jack it off now. Voice raised just enough to sound decisive. Fix it, he would be saying. Fix it now. Another call cut in. Sarah from accounting. We'd shared an office wall for years. Orally, she whispered. The printers are spitting blank pages. The trading floor screens went dark. He's yelling that you sabotaged the network. I didn't touch anything, I said. I stopped touching it. She hesitated. He moved the meeting to the boardroom. He says the laptop is the only stable machine left. I closed my eyes. The log confirmed it. While access collapsed across the building, the blueprint node stayed clean, isolated, alive. He had unplugged himself from the company and crawled into federal hardware like it was a bunker. Victor came back on the line. He wants us to reroute authentication through the blueprint system. You can't, I said. It will reject the request. He told us to try anyway. A new entry flashed. Unauthorized dependency request denied. Victor exhaled a shaky laugh. It just shut him down. He's inside a device that doesn't recognize him, I said. And the building is locking him out. Sarah's voice dropped. He's blaming you. He says you did this to punish him. I watched the cascade of failures scroll past. Each one time-stamped. Each one clean. Tell him this, I said. Nothing broke. Nothing was changed. The system is doing what it was built to do when no one qualified is there. There was shouting on Victor's end now. A chair scraped. A door slammed. He's taking the laptop into the boardroom, Victor said. He says he'll prove it works. The irony settled heavy and precise. He had cut himself off from the building and hidden inside the one thing that would never protect him. What does it mean to return to a place that already erased you? I didn't walk in through the employee entrance. I waited by the curb until a dark sedan pulled up and stopped without drama. The man in the passenger seat stepped out first. Gray hair, calm eyes. No badge on a lanyard, just clipped inside his jacket where it didn't need permission. Orally Hayes, he asked. Yes, I'm Daniel Kerr, he said. Department liaison. This is my team. 2 others joined him. They didn't look rushed. They didn't look angry. They looked finished with excuses. We're going to need you to confirm custody, Kerr said as we walked. You won't speak unless asked. I understand, I said. Inside. Conversations died mid-sentence. People didn't stare. They recalculated. Sarah stood near the elevators, a hand over her mouth. Victor froze at his desk, then straightened, like something heavy had shifted off his shoulders. The CEO's voice carried from the boardroom before we reached it. Because when leadership hesitates, innovation dies. Kerr stopped outside the doors. That him? Yes, I said. He nodded once and pushed the doors open. The room went quiet. The CEO turned, irritation already on his face, ready to assert control. What is this? He demanded. Who let you back in here? I didn't come back to work, I said, stepping aside. Kerr moved past me. Daniel Kerr, Federal Oversight. We're here for the device. The CEO laughed, sharp and hollow. You can't just walk in here. We already did, Kerr said. Please step away from the laptop. The CEO's hand tightened on the edge of the table. This is company property. Kerr looked at him, then at me. Is it? No, I said. It never was. Kerr nodded. Thank you. The CEO's voice dropped. Orally, you set this up. I met his eyes. You fired me. You kept the blueprint. Everything after that was your decision. The room felt smaller now, not tense, inevitable. Kerr gestured to his team. Secure it. I stood where I was, steady, while authority finally caught up to reality. How do you respond when the truth is no longer optional? The CEO tried to smile as the agents spread out, as if charm could still negotiate physics. This is a misunderstanding, he said. We're in the middle of a leadership review. Daniel Kerr didn't raise his voice, who authorized continued use of the device after the warning appeared. The CEO glanced at me, then back at Kerr. There was no warning. Just a screen. Kerr nodded to the agent nearest the table. Please read the login message. She tilted the laptop toward the room and read it, word by word. Property of NASA. Face identification required. The CEO's jaw tightened. That doesn't mean Kerr cut in. Did you continue after seeing it? Silence stretched. Too long. I had deadlines, the CEO said finally. Investors were waiting. Did you continue after seeing it? Kerr asked again. Yes, he snapped. Because it's a laptop. We paid for it. Kerr didn't argue. He gestured to another agent. Timeline. The agent spoke without looking up. Multiple failed authentication attempts. Internal network connection enabled. Presentation files uploaded. Watermark altered. The CEO shook his head. That's normal business activity. Kerr turned to me. Miss Hayes, did you authorize any of that after your termination? No. I said. I was not on site. Kerr faced the CEO. This wasn't an accident. This was a decision. The words landed heavy and final. You can't be serious, the CEO said, his voice rising. She's trying to punish me. No, Kerr said. We're documenting conduct. The agent closed the laptop and sealed it inside a shielded bag. The click of the latch sounded louder than it should have. The CEO took a step forward. You don't have jurisdiction. Kerr met him halfway. You retained classified property, altered protective markings, and continued use after explicit notice. You do not need our permission to confess. The cuffs came out quietly, efficiently, as they secured his wrists. The CEO looked at me one last time. The arrogance was gone. What remained was shock, naked and useless. I didn't speak. The agents guided him toward the door. The room stayed silent, not in fear, but in recognition. Consequences had finally arrived, and they knew exactly where to sit. What does winning look like when no one is cheering? The calls started that evening, spaced just far enough apart to feel deliberate. Orally, James from the board said, his voice careful. We've placed an immediate freeze on all active contracts connected to the blueprint. I expected that. I said, we're opening a formal investigation, he continued. External auditors, full access. Good, I said. That's how it should be. There was a pause. He was deciding whether to cross the line he'd called about. We want you to know, James said. This doesn't reflect how the board views your contributions. I'm not asking for reassurance, I said. Another pause. Longer this time. We'd like to discuss your return. I didn't answer right away. I let the silence do its work. In what capacity, I asked. Senior leadership, he said quickly. Authority to oversee compliance and systems architecture. Clean slate. I don't want a slate. I said, I want boundaries. He exhaled. Name them. I won't report to anyone who thinks warnings are optional, I said. I won't fix problems created to impress investors, and I won't be responsible without control. James cleared his throat. That's a significant shift. It already shifted, I said. You're just catching up. Later. Victor called. They're saying the place feels different, he said, quieter. Good, I said, and in you, he asked. How do you feel? I thought about the boardroom, the cuffs, the way no one clapped. I feel accurate, I said. The last message came from an unknown number. One line, no greeting. We underestimated you. I deleted it without replying. Control doesn't always look like applause. Sometimes it looks like choosing what you will never accept again. Chapter 10. What he thought he was keeping. What do people really take when they think they're taking power? The call came a week later. Short and procedural. Mrs. Hayes, Daniel Kerr said. The device has been returned to federal custody. Chain confirmed. No further action required from you. Good, I said. Send me the receipt. You'll have it, he replied. And for the record, you did exactly what you were supposed to do. After we hung up, another call lit my screen. James, from the board again. He's been formally charged, James said. Unauthorized retention, alteration of protective markings, misuse after notice. His clearance is gone. His role is terminated, permanently. I'm not involved in personnel outcomes, I said. I know, James said. That's why I'm calling about boundaries. We met the next morning, no boardroom, no speeches. You'll oversee the handoff, James said. Then you're done. No consulting, no advisory shadow role. That's what I want, I said. Clean? He nodded. We underestimated the cost of ignoring you. I didn't respond. At the secure facility. The technician slid the case across the table. Serial confirmed, she said. No anomalies. I signed once. The blueprint disappeared into the system that had always owned it. Outside, Victor caught up to me. They're quieter now, he said. They read warnings out loud. That will last, I said. Or it won't. Either way, it's not my problem. My phone buzzed one last time that day. A message forwarded by counsel. The former CEO's statement, drafted and hollow. I never intended harm. I didn't reply. I walked away without applause, without a title to reclaim, without anything to prove. The work had spoken. The record was complete. Power is not what you seize in a moment of arrogance. It is what remains after every warning is ignored and every choice is recorded. Systems do not care who you are. They only care what you did. He thought he was keeping my blueprint. What he actually kept was the proof.